Hello, this is David from Car.Cornwall in Penryn. Today we've got a Fiat 500 with a nasty dent on the rear quarter over the arch. Hope you enjoy the video. You'll see the dent to the right of the arch. There is paint damage in there, so it's not a job just for paintless dent removal. First job is to sort out the arch itself because it's distorted, so using a slide hammer and a ball peen hammer I'm getting the shape back in. Next thing is to glue on some glue tabs to lift the dents up as much as possible in preparation for filling. The dents are almost gone, so the next step is to prepare it for filling. The area needs to be sanded back to expose the dents so I can see exactly where to fill, and I've put a little piece of tape there just to remind me not to go too far. The sanding has exposed some highs, so I'll tap those down before applying the filler. First coat of filler gets put on, and then once it's dried off with the infrared lamp, I cover it with some dry coat to expose any low areas as I'm sanding. Sure enough, a low is exposed on the arch, and so the next coat of filler will be used to fill that and make sure that the whole area is level. It's important to follow the contour lines of the body when sanding so you don't put flat spots into it. Again, I've found some highs I tap down. I'm not totally happy with that, so it takes another coat of filler just to make sure that everything is level. We put the infrared lamp on, remove the tape, move it over a little bit so I can get the sander into that area, and that's the result, ready for painting. Just before this point I had abraded the area with 1000 grit paper, and now it's into the booth. As you can see, you just cannot clean too much, so the whole area is cleaned thoroughly again. And I've spotted another piece that needs to be done, so back to the drawing board, get the infrared lamps on and dry that out. That's dry, so now we get the masking paper on, ready for priming, but the first coat of material that's on there is etch primer, and I've noticed a small low, so I'm just touching that in now. Once that's done, we're ready to prime with etch primer. Sanding there, you see the next shot shows the etch primer back on again. There we go. Now we're ready for the 2K primer to go on. This is like filler, so it's the first coat, second coat on, and the third coat goes on, and that provides an absolutely perfect base for the paint once it's sanded. Dry coat is on the primer now, and we're sanding with 320 grits to get the area level, and finally finishing off with 400, which gets it ready for paint. And of course we've got to clean. Plenty of cleaning, blowing off, dusting off, making sure the area is right, ready for the painting process. Next step is to mask it up, ready for the paint and lacquer. That's on the top edge there. I've put a folded back tape which ensures we get a nice soft lacquer line, so I'm not planning to paint up there. And you can see why I put the tape in front of the primer area, to make sure that when I'm painting I don't get too near the door, which means I would have to paint into the door to blend it. My plan is to blend the paint just between the edge of the primer there and the edge of the door. I enjoy masking, fortunately, because if you do it properly you can save yourself a lot of trouble with the final finish, making sure there's no hard edges to deal with. Of course we also mask to stop any overspray getting on other parts of the vehicle, so it's a nice clean finish. Just for good measure, more cleaning and then the first coat of paint goes on. You see I'm putting it right on to the right onto the primer, and then the dryers get on. And yes, you are watching paint dry. Quick run over with the tack rag for the second coat, and then the final third coat which is blended out into the panel, and for a nice seamless finish. Next step is lacquering, but before that we have to make sure that everything is nice and clean, dust free, so the panel's blown down with the airline. I blow the dust off myself as well and around the floor and everywhere. And then we get ready with the lacquer gun for the first coat of lacquer. First coat is a medium coat, and although it's got shine to it, it's not a finish coat. And you'll see from the speed that I apply the lacquer the difference between the first and second coat. 5 minutes of air drying and then the second coat goes on. You can see it's slower movement there, although it's obviously speeded up. But this time the lacquer's going on a bit heavier, and I'm checking constantly to see that it's gone on evenly. In this case I didn't really feel it had gone on as evenly as I wanted, so I went over it again. Now I'm stripping back some of the masking so I can put the fade out blender in to fade the edges of the lacquer. I also remove the masking from inside the doors because I don't want a hard edge developing there. After 10 minutes of air drying I put the infrared lamps on. Finally take off the last of the masking, and the finish is actually good enough. It's pretty much a gun finish, which means that it doesn't require a lot of polishing, but just a little knockdown of the peel just to bring it into line with the rest of the car. So I'm polishing with a denim pad. Once that's over I switch over to the yellow pad, which is a finer compound and really brings out the shine. Here's the yellow pad with the fine compound, and this will be the final finish, and then the car's ready to be moved out of the booth and of course washed. Just so you can see the final finish, here's a nice slow walk around. The dent's gone, and the paint that I used was a very good match, so it blended very nicely into that panel. Didn't have to go into the door. That's the door strip that's gone back on because it helps protect the door edge. But I'm very pleased with the finish there, and we'll move on to the washing. When the customer comes to pick up the car, it's going to be nice and clean and shiny. They get a little pot of touch-up paint to take away, a proper invoice, and a lifetime guarantee as long as they own the vehicle. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for looking.